be treating for Honeybee Mite today. Now Honeybee Mite are a small pest that get into the larvae and the brood of the honeybees. Now they can deform the honeybees, causing plenty of issues and shorten the lifespan of the honeybees by feeding off them, as well as giving them different diseases. So even though I've checked my hives and all summer I've only gotten 1 or 2 Honeybee Mite and only a couple more per 300 bees out of this hive from the wall, I will still treat just to keep the population down. You're almost never going to completely get rid of it, but treating each year will hopefully keep the numbers very low to a point that they won't really affect the honeybees. So let's get to it. Honeybee Mite treatment here, what I have is Apivar. It should just be little strips, kind of sticky, that you just put down in between the frames here that will treat your hive. See, come on. Alright, so basically what you do, they're kind of sticky here. So you have these strips. There's 2. They should break apart. There we go. And then, in your brood box, so where all your brood is, you just want to kind of put them down in between the frames here. Now I saw one person where they recommended you kind of want 2 frames inward and then 2 frames inward on the other side as well. Kind of opposite sides of the hive. See if we can get down in here. There we go. Just to kind of cover the majority of the hive with them. But for the most part, you want to get these in before they really start laying their winter bees. That way, hopefully you can treat your winter bee colony and it will help kill off the majority of the Honeybee Mite instead of the winter bees basically being feasted on all winter by the Honeybee Mite, just to kind of weaken them in the hive. Alright, hopefully we won't need this anymore. So this is my nook that was doing okay. Last time I checked, I did not see the queen bee or any new eggs, but it did look like the hive was doing relatively well. So let's hope there's a queen in here this time, or at least some eggs, so sign that she is in here and laying. Then we'll treat them. It looks like they've been busy. Let's see here. Got some capped honey. Kind of surprised that they don't have this frame filled out more by now. Do on this side. That looks pretty good. So in this I do have a lot of larvae and a lot of small eggs. So there is a laying queen in this nook. So I guess 1 out of 2 nooks splits that I did, 50% isn't too bad. I would have loved to do another split, but it is now late August and it is way too late for a brand new hive to try and make a queen and build it up with wax and honey. So the hive out of the wall I am pretty concerned about. I don't know if they'll make it or not. Hopefully they will. I did feel like they had a good chance before because they had so many resources built up from the wall that I gave them. But with robber bees coming in and stealing all that, they're gonna have a very difficult time getting everything in order. for winter, but there is still a slight chance they'll work it out. So right here I actually have found my queen bee. She's a beauty. She's right there crawling around. There she goes. So I had to buy this one off the internet. It's my bee set. The one that came with it was pretty crappy and cheap and fell right apart before I ever even used it. Where did she go? There she is. So I did order this new one. See how it goes. So a lot of people will pick the queen right up, basically by the wings. Ooh, she went right in there, perfect. But I am not that comfortable doing that because normally you do it without gloves on, because obviously gloves are very big and bulky and you're likely to squish the queen. So I've been promising this for a very, very long time. I'm just finally doing it, where I'm showing you marking the queen. So right now she is upside down. We'll see if we can kind of get her right side up here. It looks like if you put this upside down, there we go. See how her back is kind of fit right there in the square. It's about perfect. Shake this, get it set. There we go. Don't really want to squish her. I'll be very careful. There we go. Kind of got her back right there. So I kind of like her to, there we go. Get her back nice and lined up with one of these squares, and then just kind of poke the paint marker right through that square. So you can kind of see, hopefully, that she is marked right on the round part of her back just behind her head. So we'll leave her in this trap for a second here, just so the paint marker can dry. If I were to just poke her with the paint marker on the frame or in here and immediately release her, a lot of her subject, if you will actually clean that up and trying to keep her clean. But letting this dry for a split second here, we'll be sure that that paint will stay on her for a very long time. So this is pretty exciting, seeing that one of my nook splits did work out. And hopefully next year we'll have a lot more, but at least I accomplished one split. So very minimum, we will be going into winter with 3 hives, where we started off with 2 this year. Alright, so I want to put her right back where I found her. Which was on this one here. I'm going to pull that out with one hand. There we go. So she's back on the frame. I'm going to put that down in here on the side. Very carefully. And I'm just going to finish a quick check and then treat this hive. So there is a lot of brood in here. Eggs and honey. The last thing I will do, so right now they have a couple of pretty full frames. They do have a lot of brood in here. But they also still have a lot of empty space as well. Whoops. So I can't really add another box yet because they really have a lot of space to fill, and a lot of space to fill with honey as well. before winter. Oh, my queen has already made it on the opposite frame. So I'll put her back in here. Then I'm going to lightly push these all back in place. And put this one back in. We'll be all set with that. Check. Looks like I gotta spin this around here. Must have been aimed this way. There we go. That fits better. So, same with this, we'll treat it. Try and get these things out. Quite sticky. And my brood is more on this side. I'm gonna see, can't slide this down somewhere near it. Maybe I'll put it right there. With this being a 5-frame nook, I'm only going to do one in here, and I think it should be set. Really isn't a ton of brood in there or too many bees. It's a very small colony. So we'll see how that does. Looks like I need to do some landscaping up here. Grass growing everywhere. Kind of mowed around them, but I haven't weed whacked in quite a while. Oh man, this sucker is stuck. My hive tool. There we go. So these two colonies should be very strong at this point. The one thing I should say about the Apivar is that when you put this in, you shouldn't pull honey. So if you want honey from your hives, you really need to pull all your frames of honey you want to keep and process before or during treatment. So pull your frames and then treat afterwards. But they say you should not pull honey for consumption. Low-flying plane, local airport. I think they do a lot of practice and training of new pilots kind of over top of us. See them quite often. Anyways. Alright, so I just want to add in real quick the Apivar strips. You leave them in for about 2 weeks or so, and about 2 strips per brood chamber, and that normally takes care of most of your Varroa mite problem. So the only thing about these strips is obviously they're not going to take care of any Varroa mite that are already in sealed chambered brood. So any brood that is already sealed, it is not going to affect those Varroa mite. So you may want to treat again in 2 weeks or a month just to make sure you really knock it back. I have seen where some people think it does affect the bees slightly, where their production is lower during and right after treatment, but they come back pretty quick. And some people say it doesn't affect the bees whatsoever. So I guess we'll have to see how they look in about a week or two, see if it looks like they haven't done much more. But being during the darth, they are going to have less production anyways, because there isn't as much pollen for them to collect. And as we go into September, there should be another wave of some pollen as different plants kind of start to flower out and pollen is in the air again. So they say to put this Apivar in any of your brood boxes. So since I have 2 deeps, and 2, I don't use a queen excluder currently. They kind of lay their brood wherever they feel like, which they've started laying their brood up in these upper frames here. I need to just kind of, where I can find a slot, right here. Need to put a couple of slips in there. Now we'll just run through this lower box here. Just wanted to say thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoy my content and find it helpful, or if you just enjoy watching it, make sure you hit that like button down below and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And thank you so much for all the comments. I love talking back and forth to people. Most people are pretty respectful in the comment section.